Have you ever had smoke billowing out of your pellet hopper after you finished a cook? I'm going to show you just what you need to do to avoid that, the consequences of not doing it, and sadly, it's self-inflicted. Well, welcome back to the channel. So, last weekend we went ahead and did a nice little cooked a good chuck roast. Anyway, I turned the grill off, pushed it back here in the spot where I normally keep it. The fan was still running. It was got its 30-minute or so cool down period, and we took off and left. And hours later I came home and I saw smoke coming all out of this. I went to open up this lid, and inside of it I had a smoldering bin full of actual pellets. So I want to show you what actually happened in here. This thing definitely got some damage. I'll show you what it all is, and then how to fix it, and most importantly, how to avoid that happening to you, because sadly, it was all caused from not cleaning out the pellet pot. It's happened one other time, and I now can tell you the signs to look for and how to repair it. So as we come up to the grill, right, all kind of looks normal right in here. Definitely have a little grease buildup on the actual flame guard down there. But here's where it gets a little strange. I went ahead and drained the pellets, but I want to show you the lid here. Look at this. This is just charred pellets all up here. Can you see that? Look at that. It's like this flap of the enamel paint on the top. You can see where the label is right there, but all that paint just bubbled and it got sticky as can be. This thing's actually hard to open. You can see here it's stuck. And then down in our pellet hopper, you can see right down there where the auger is, those are all charred. They're black pellets, not wood colored ones. So I went ahead and drained the pellets. You can see the opening down here on the bottom, and we will go ahead and get started. So a couple of things I think I'm going to need. Obviously a Phillips head screwdriver. I've got a small little scraper just because I know I'm going to have to scrape some of that burnt enamel off of there, as well as a pair of channel locks or pliers, wrenches, whatever it is you need. Typically it's just a screwdriver is all you need in here. So we're going to start getting started. The first thing I'm going to do is actually just remove this little handle here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove the pellet hopper. So what I like to do is put a little table underneath here, remove the screws, take the bottom plate off, and unplug all of the items on it. I'll show you what that looks like, but that allows me to take this off of here and separate it from the grill, so I can actually begin to work on the mechanical side of the grill where all those burnt ashes are in that auger. So the first thing I like to do is take the screws off the bottom of this, and in this particular model there are 8 screws that hold up a small grate that gives me access to the wires, so I can unplug the wires and make it a little easier to maneuver this whole thing. Let's just go ahead and pull these guys all off of here. Now obviously I have it unplugged to be sure you're smart about that. Alright, so now I'm just going to hold this piece up here and take the last 2 screws out. Alright, and then this piece just comes right on down. Place this right in here. Tell you what I'll do, I'm going to show you what it looks like in here and which ones we need to unplug. Alright, you can see our fan here, right? We want to make sure we unplug that. That's going to be this orange plug right here. We want to unplug all 3 of these plugs here. The orange one is for the fan, the red one is for the auger motor, and this white one is for the either thermometer or heating element. I don't recall which. So we're going to unplug each of those. Alright, you might be able to see it. I've got these unplugged, these unplugged. There was another small one in here, so there's 4 sets of plugs. Make sure you know what colors go to what. But that will allow us to remove this side piece. So when you go to remove this, there are actually 2 screws on the hopper here, and then 2 exactly opposite that on the back. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove 3 of those, kind of holding it here. You'll notice I have this small little table underneath it. It's good to have something that you can just pull this thing out and set it right down there, especially if you don't have all of the cords unplugged in there that you need unplugged. So let's go ahead and just get this pulled off of here. Now, I'm just going to take this hopper, kind of slowly pull it off here and see if we have everything disconnected. And you can see I do not. I forgot one of the ground wires while I was down there. Alright, I see where it's connected. I'm just going to right in here and undo that. Alright, we should be able to remove this guy now. One last plug for our temperature probe. And this is just a quick release here. I'm going to press this in and pull that out of there. Alright, I am now able to take my hopper and move it aside. I'm not going to take it all the way off because the power cord's still in, and that's okay. Right. I now have access to the hopper, or the hopper. I can pull it out if need be. Right, fan's still turning nicely. My bushing may have melted, I don't know, I've got to see. That may be part of my problem here. And I've got my overall bracket that holds my motor in place, which I'll probably be removing here. You didn't see that video. Motor brackets on these things suck. I actually made this little motor bracket. It makes it a lot better. All right, let me zoom in and show you what this looks like, and I'm going to show you the cause of all of these problems. All right, I went ahead and moved the grates and the smoke guard out of the way. I just want to show you what this looks like down in here. Here is the problem. Look how deep those ashes are down in there. Now some of this is burned out from the fire I had in it, but that is well up high, so the smoldering wood chips, the smoldering pellets were sitting up high, and what that meant is it was able to go from here into that little auger tube right there and begin to smolder. So therein lies the entire problem, and that is my fault. We're gonna get this cleaned out. When I clean this out, I like to just scrape some of this stuff off of here, break anything loose that's in here up, and then I'm gonna use a shop vac to get most of this out of here because it seems very ashy and not greasy, which is gonna be important. All right, forgive the noise. I'm just gonna use a small little shop vac that I bought just for doing this. That's all I use it for, is the grill. Alright, you can see this looks a lot cleaner. I'm now going to scrape some of the edges of these ledges off and clean that with a paper towel. This looks much better. I can see all the way down to the bottom of the fire pot. I can see the actual hot rod right here, the fire rod that heats up the pellets. I can actually see the opening here of the pellet hopper or auger. We're going to see if we can pull that hopper out and clear that whole trail, and then re-prime and feed this. This, up in this grill part, is now clean. That was the culprit of all of this. If those pellets are up too high, when they are smoldering and turned off, it begins to ignite the pellets in the tube and they smolder, which is what causes the smoke to start going back down this auger and into the hopper. And if you let it go long enough, those things can smolder and burn all the way back to the hopper, which is what happened to us. And the worst part about this is it was all our fault, right? There's just no denying it. So here's the other end of the auger right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this screw out on this shaft so I can remove this motor mount, remove the motor, pull the bushing out of here. I'm going to slide that entire auger out of here. I'll zoom in and show you that up close while we're doing it. Now a couple things to note. This is not the common bracket that goes on these. I actually made this myself just because this seemed to work a little better than what was here before. So I'll go ahead and pull that piece out. This piece, and then remove this bracket. Now, in order to remove this motor, we have to take this small little piece out right here. See if there's any way I'm going to be able to do that. I'm going to take this screw out here that's holding that bushing in place. That bushing looks like it could be melted. We'll see. Now, this is not connected to anything. It's just attached to the bushing here. That's all. Good news, I'm able to get this motor off of here, which will be helpful. That screw, we'll just slide this right off of here. Now, let's see if we can get this guy pulled out of here. Now, I've got charred pellets all the way throughout there, which is not too helpful, but boy, I can see that is definitely melted. That bushing is melted right onto this from all that heat that built up in there, which makes sense, right? This rod got hot, melted this acrylic bushing. Look right here on the end, you can definitely see how that bushing is all melted and it's crooked in there. It's not even straight. So I'm going to try and pull that sucker off. It's coming. Whew. Yeah, bushings. Look at that. You can see that bushing just completely melted in there, combined with wood chips and everything else. Jeez Louise. I'm just going to go ahead and finish pulling this the rest of the way out of here, and that's the entire length of the auger. But, boy, that is gross right in there. I'm going to go ahead and chip some of that out with my little putty knife here. that plastic melted all down and sat in the bottom of this thing. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get this thing off. I might have to get a hacksaw and cut it off. I'll get a new bushing, and I think this thing will work. I'll just clean it up a little bit. So as you can see, this is clean now, but this was a tough one. I had to take a hacksaw and cut this bushing off of here, this sort of plastic material bushing. When I did, there was a lot of melted plastic all around these tines. I went ahead and pulled this all off of there, used a razor blade, scraped it off, and then I used a wire wheel in my drill to get this part real clear, because that new bushing has to be able to rotate on here very easily. The good news is those bushings are about $6 on Amazon. I'll put links to the parts that you can buy. You can almost rebuild almost everything in here, from the fan motor, the auger motor, the control board, and the bushings for about $90. Like, it's not very expensive to rebuild this whole thing, and given that it's a $600 to $700 grill, well worth it if you do something stupid like we just did here. So let's go ahead and get this thing set right in here. I'm going to put 2 screws on top of this just to hold this in place until our part comes in tomorrow. I don't want to damage or lose anything here. And I'll see you back here in just a second. For me, it will be tomorrow when my new bushing comes in. All right, you've got to love Amazon Prime. I ordered it this morning. It said it would be here between 5 and 10. It is 6:20 and the part is here. So what I went ahead and got was a new one of these bushings. This is the part that had melted based on that little heat that built up in it. Now you'll notice there's a small hole on the side of it, and then a hole through here where the shaft goes through. We're just going to go ahead and slide this right onto our actual auger. Put this inside the grill. Now I'm going to line this hole up with the hole on the outside here. And we've got the rotation we want, which is exactly what we want to see. Now it's just time to go ahead and put our motor back in. This is always a little tricky to get this guy to line up, but it's not too bad. All right, got that on there, and I'm just going to put my bracket back on that I built for this thing just to hold this in place for a while. You can kind of see I've got the screw into the actual bushing right here, but it still rotates. I've got this tightened up. Now, this is something that I built here just because I did not like the way these things were held together from Pit Boss. But I'm going to go ahead and connect everything up so I can try powering this up without putting it back together. Alright, I've got this guy all back together. I just plugged all the plugs in to make sure it came on, and it did. Yep, sure is. Now with everything else lined up, we're just going to pick this up and put it right here where it goes and get the screws in it. All 4 of these guys started. Now I'm not going to bother putting all the wires up on the bottom yet. I will do that after we make sure that everything fires up and it works. Now you'll remember, we cleaned inside of here real well, so we'll be able to see how this works. I did not, however, clean inside of here, so I'm going to grab my little spatula or putty knife and see if I can scrape some of this off of here. Just get rid of any of these charred pieces that are down in there. That is now clean. I'm going to get some pellets. We'll load this up and we'll give it a shot. I'm going to turn this on, put it on its smoke setting, add a little bit of pellets. I'm not going to add much here, just enough to see how it's doing. And I can tell the auger is spinning. If the auger stops, I'll hit the prime button here in just a minute. And I want to go until I hear the pellets begin to fall into the fire pot, because remember I cleared that entire auger trail here. Alright, so I've been holding this prime button for about 3 minutes, and I can see pellets really close to the edge. So I'm going to get the camera and zoom in there while I hold this prime button down. We want the pellets to fall onto the heating element, and that's what will start our ignition. Alright, you might notice there's pellets coming out just on the left-hand side there. Holding that prime button, we'll feed them out a little bit more. And when they pile up on top of that small heating rod, dead center down there, which I can feel the heat, so feel the air over there. I think I'm feeling heat, I can't quite tell. We'll see if they start glowing red here in a minute. Alright, right over here on the left hand side I'm beginning to see small embers there, which is good. See a little smoke, and I'm actually starting to see that fire right now. That's good. Precisely what we want to see. Well, this is looking good. You saw the fire start up. Everything seems to be working in the working parts of the grill. I do notice I have one problem. My display is no longer working. I'm sure it got hot and damaged something on the circuit board. The good news is I can buy a replacement one of these on Amazon for about 40 bucks. I'll put links in the description down below for a new auger, the new grill plate, the bushing, the fan, the auger motor, and the fan, as well as that control panel. Like I said, you can replace all of those for about 100 bucks on this particular model. So that is some good news. Let me go ahead and put the grill plate down in here so we can start assembling the rest of the way. And I'm not going to put that cover on until tomorrow. I want to make sure all this works and we cook something on it. All right, I moved the camera back. We're just a little bit above 200 degrees. It's on its way to 225 and we'll shut off. That's it. That's as easy as it is to fix. And a couple of good lessons that I think I've learned out of this and would be really good for you to learn. Clean your fire pot often. When you see smoke billowing back out of your hopper, it's because that smoldering pellets have begun to smolder into that auger bit. It means there's too much ash on the bottom and the pellets are sitting up too high and they're starting to catch fire or smolder into that auger. That is the cause of all these problems. You'll start to notice that when you shut your grill down, the normal shutdown, you know, the fan runs for like another 20 minutes and then it shuts down. If you start noticing smoke coming up through the hopper, there's a good chance you have a buildup of ash at the bottom of that fire pot. Time to open it up, clean that out. If you let it go this far, if you do what I did and you saw the smoke for the last 3 times you cooked and you're like, one more will be good, one more will be good, check it frequently, because I didn't, and that heat came all the way back into this hopper. This entire thing had charred pellets in it. It was halfway full, so I had a lot of ruined pellets in there and a lot of heat that came all the way back through it. It melted that bushing, obviously damaged this circuit board. So again, these are pretty easy fixes. That's the good news about this, but sadly it was a self-inflicted wound because I didn't maintain that and keep it clean enough. So shame on me. All right, safe and happy grilling, y'all. I hope you found this useful and helpful. If you did, please do me a favor, give it a thumbs up and a like. If you think somebody else will find value in it, please forward it to them. I'd love to get a couple other people to view this because frankly, this could have all been avoided had I just paid attention to those ashes in that fire pot. Thanks, y'all. Oh, good. You're still here. Hey, listen, if you've enjoyed this video, do check out these playlists. We have our entire Pit Boss smoking recipes playlist here and our entire Blackstone playlist right here. Check it out.